Happy Monday, people, and welcome to the OH.Report video podcast, where, if you can believe it, this is episode number Sweet 16. Can you believe we're all grown up, guys? How about that? Almost on our way out the door, moving on to college. It's crazy. Anyways, my name is Brian Skrotsky. I am the host, and you might notice no jacket for me, no Victory Monday if you're a Browns fan today, but man, what a weekend of sports it was. We saw so many great competitions, big-time performances, the championship boxing off the chain. We saw some big-time stuff out of some local players that used to call North Central Ohio home that are now showing out at the next level at college. High school football was great. And then also the soccer tournament draws are all set in stone. We're going to talk about all of that. But first, let's introduce you to the gang like we always do. How about Travis Berardi is here, people. Everyone take a look at Travis, a.k.a.
I don't have a victory jacket, but I got the victory polo right now. It's been almost a month, so I got it, finally, I have the victory polo on after, 3 straight losses for the Steelers. But tough one for your Brownies, man. I thought you guys were going to pull it out.
Yeah, so that was Big League. He's also got other nicknames that are not suitable for this program. So let's move on to Hayden Gray, who always gives you hot takes, 100% gluten-free each and every week, folks. Say hi, Hayden.
What's up? You can always count on me for some gluten-free content.
Woohoo! And then last but not least, our resident Caniac combo over here, G-Man and Storm, that never met a piece of gluten that they wouldn't try.
You're not wrong.
Would never touch any of that. Only grease.
All right, guys, let's talk about high school football. And then there were 3. Of all the teams in North Central Ohio, there are still 3 remaining that are undefeated, that are a perfect 8-0 right now. We're talking about the Crestview Cougars. We've got the Northmore Golden Knights, and then the West Holmes Blue Knights, even though they just call themselves the Knights. But of these 3 teams, gentlemen, which one do you have the most confidence in going 10-0 on the season? Let's begin over here. G-Man and Storm, where do you weigh on this one?
I'm going to go with Crestview, definitely.
Weird.
The only thing, though, about this week, this is their kryptonite game, for real. St. Paul, I don't know what it is about Crestview, but we just have a stigma that we always lose to St. Paul. So it's really going to be a mental battle to kind of tear off that Band-Aid and get a big win. And this is a really big proving game for them, especially with the playoff bracket that they're going to have to deal with. This is a big game this week, versus St. Paul.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. I'm definitely going to go with Crestview. I think they're one of the best teams that are still unbeaten, and I'm going to go to their strength of schedule. They beat some big teams. They dominated East Knox, and then they beat a good 6-2 Western Reserve team, and that leads me to believe that I can trust them in a big spot, and this is going to be the biggest spot of the weekend on Saturday night against St. Paul. As you said, Storm, we haven't beat them since 2011, back when Mason Minnick was around. So. Ooh. It's been over 10 years now, so I think if Crestview wants to get it done, this is the team still undefeated, and Hayden Kuhn has been pretty much perfect. He's only thrown 1 interception. Connor Morse gets most of the love, and deservedly so, but Hayden Kuhn, man, he is the engine, too, that helps the Cougars get going and stay undefeated.
The players on the Cougars roster were in grade school the last time that they actually knocked off St. Paul, so we'll see if that can be the case on Saturday. Of course, that's going to be a big one that you can watch live and free right here on the OH Report. The Cougars have had some nice wins, though, Hayden, so do you also agree that they have the best looking opportunity to go 10-0?
I do not. So I'm going to have another hot take that probably isn't so hot, and I'm going to go with West Holmes. I think we are looking at who has the best opportunity to go 10-0, and I think if you look at West Holmes' remaining games, they play Ashland, who's 3-5, who's a scrappy team, but they then play Mount Vernon, who's 2-6. With the impressive wins they've had over Mansfield Senior, Worcester, and most recently Shelby, I think West Holmes is a key decision in this category. When you have Sam Williams, Dixon, Brett Shearer, Noah Clark, I think that they're basically a lock to go 10-0 with the games they have left this season.
You are absolutely right. When you look at Crestview, just because they have to exorcise that big, scary demon, and it's spooky season 2, guys. I don't know if they're able to pull off that exorcism on Saturday night. That's going to be a huge one because of the remaining games. And West Holmes is such a complete team. There's no reason not to think that they're going to go victory, and head into the postseason at 10-0. And they got athletes that can do crazy stuff like that, throwing tigers in mid-run off onto the sidelines as they trot in for touchdown. So I, too, agree. I'm going to go with the West Holmes Knights. But I believe that K-Mac Trav probably going to go with a different shade of Knight, aren't you?
I think the Crestview Cougars have a really good shot at going 10-0, but I am K-Mac Trav for a reason, and I think the Northmore Golden Knights are finally going to get their first 10-0 season in school history. I believe they can knock off Centerburg at home next week. Well, this coming week, and then next week the big matchup against Highland. They're gonna, exercise those demons from a couple years ago in the Battle of 9-0s that they lost. They have a great defense. Their defense has 21 sacks, 46 tackles for loss, 14 interceptions, 5 fumble recoveries. This defense is great. And then you have a running attack of Max Lauer, who's averaging over 150 yards per game, and then Marcus Cortez, the dual threat quarterback, that's averaging 90 yards on the ground, and then he can throw it. He has over 600 yards passing. He had a really good passing game this past week. This Northmore Golden Knights squad, they have, I believe, the best shot at going 10-0.
It seems like a little bit of bias built in there, Trav, just because you look at their last 2 games. I like that they're at the Castle, but they got to play Centerburg, and then they have to finish up the season with another tough one against Highland. So I like actually all 3 of these teams' chances to go 10-0, but the toughest road to be traveled to get there, I think clearly is going to be at the Castle with the Golden Knights, but they are good enough to do it, no question about it. Well, every week on the Friday Night Pigskin, we always let you guys vote, and you tell us what was the top play of the week, and then also who had the top individual performance. So let's go ahead and run it back. Here were the top performances from Week 7. Thanks for hanging out with us late night here on the Friday Night Pigskin. I really appreciate all the viewership, guys. And before the clock turns to midnight, a quick shout out to my daughter, Aaliyah Skoronsky. A big happy birthday. She's a teenager, man. How do I have a teenager already? That's amazing. All right, so we put a lot of power into your guys' hands each and every week. We tell you who we think should be nominated for the best player, the best performance, as well as the top play of the week. And then you guys decide who the winner is. Let's begin with the Friday Night Phenom from Week 7. Here it is. This is what we decided. So after we tallied up all of the votes, you, the people of North Central Ohio, decided that Centerburg's Kalen LeMaster put up an MVP phenom performance, and you want to talk about a jack of all trades. He carried the rock 11 times for $142, got into the end zone twice, as you're seeing there on the moving pictures. He also had 1 receiving touchdown, which I think is coming up right here on this play. Look at the catch. He's going to get into the end zone, splitting through traffic. And then if that wasn't good enough, he even recovered a fumble right here. He's going to scoop it up and get into the zone. So Kalen LeMaster, my dude, that is your phenom from week number 7. But what about the top play of the week? Could it be LeMaster? Let's find out. Well, it may not be Kalen LeMaster, but it is a Centerburg Trojan. Check this out, folks. How about the tip drill?
Up and it's going to be
going
picked
back
off.
the other way, it's Hunter Parker from the Trojan secondary. He didn't need no help with that one. Got his hands up in the air, tipped it to himself, and then brought it back. So thank you guys for all the votes. And shout out once again. That's the second time this season that we've had Centerburg win not only the top play, but the phenom. So kudos to your fans getting out there and voting. Well, a big congratulations to last week's winners, and thank you guys out there for voting every single week. You find us on all the social media platforms, and you really make us look good by weighing in and picking a winner, so kudos to you guys out there. Now let's meet the Week 8 nominees for your Friday Night Phenoms. We'll begin the countdown with how about guys that know a lot about winning on our list. Centerburg and Jack Gregory, the quarterback, had a phenomenal game, most notably in the second half. Hayden, I know that you were at this one, and sometimes Jack, he just needs a little bit of time to warm up, but once he gets it going, he's got a flamethrower for an arm. That left hand really was putting some throws on the money. Big time performance.
Yeah, he had a great night. There was a little bit of doubt. The first half was surprising to me. Kind of a slow start for Jack Gregory in the Centerburg offense. But then they really took off after halftime, made great adjustments, and Jack Gregory was still throwing passes. They weren't running the ball even with kind of a comfortable lead, trying to chew up time at the end. So they really trust him. He had a great night. 345 yards, 3 touchdowns. Solid performance for him.
How about Hayden Kuhn of the Crestview Cougars? Still undefeated on the season, and he was almost perfect. As you see that, he only missed 2 passes on the game, threw a couple of touchdowns, including this dime right here. Doesn't get much better than that. I mean, the Cougars, they got it cooking, and they married the run game with the pass game. Kuhn is awesome off of play action.
Yeah, Brian, Hayden Kuhn has been pretty much perfect all season long. He only has one turnover, and the big thing about him is he trusts his receivers, man. He's throwing BBs all over the yard to Smedley, over to Bailey, and, of course, Addison Raymer. So Hayden Kuhn has really been the engine that is driving this Crestview offense. Of course, Connor Morris doing it with him, but Hayden Kuhn was dominant against Plymouth, 12 of 14, 204, 26 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. So Hayden Kuhn can't get much better than that, and he's got a big test this weekend against St. Paul. Let's see if he can repeat his performance.
I just love how much poise he has in the pocket. He's a dynamic dude also when he gets out onto the edge, but he can throw it pretty well deep. Hayden Kuhn, the total package. So is this guy. What a senior year right now for Peyton Lester. He leads the KMAC in passing yardage as well as passing touchdowns. Well, because he does stuff like this every single week. 9 of 12, so he only missed a couple of passes on the night. Also went for over 200 yards, but how about getting it into the end zone, into the hands of his playmakers 4 times, KMAC Trav?
And watch these throws. He trusts his wide receivers. He can throw it a little bit high, a little bit wide, but he knows his receivers will get it. And the most important stat of this, of the 9 completions, almost half of them went for touchdowns. 9 completions, 4 touchdowns. They have that running game, but also the passing game. It helps opens up the run game, and Peyton Lester is the man for that offense at East Knox as they still remain in the top 4 in the region.
So are the Mansfield TY Tigers and Brock Hill. A lot of quarterbacks on the list this week. 7 of 14, so you don't really love that efficiency, but when he was completing passes, they went big, including this big toss right here. A couple of touchdowns, and then we know what we can do with his feet, too. He does it with both his arm and his legs every week, Hayden.
Yeah, another quarterback who only had 14 pass attempts on the night but was still able to throw for 185 yards and 3 touchdowns, so almost 50% of his passes as well went for touchdowns, 68 rush yards on the ground, and I think you're seeing what Brock Hill can do if he plays confident and just has fun playing the game.
And lastly, wow, all quarterbacks on the list this week, and Noah Clark probably had the most gaudy numbers, and they shredded the Shelby Whippets. 358 through the sky, 4 touchdowns as well. Total package, and a big win against a quality opponent, Storm.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a lot of people's game of the year, but West Holmes came out, did what they had to do, and got a huge win on the road at Skiles, and it was in big thanks to part to Noah Clark. I mean, when you can go 20 of 26 passing and have almost 400 yards, I mean, that's just incredible numbers from, a guy on a really good football team. And, it helps that he's got athletes that he can get the rock to, but I mean, just incredible numbers from Noah Clark.
But you see here, too, the pre-snap reads. He's moving some guys in motion, getting some different protections and different plays called. So Noah Clark, as a senior, really having a phenomenal season. Those are your nominees. You can vote online each week on all those different platforms. Now, here are your top play nominees for Week 8 of the high school football season. Well, in case you guys didn't know, the Crestview Cougars, they're kind of a perfect 8-0 right now, and QB Hayden Kuhn has been virtually flawless, putting the ball where only Gabe Smedley can get it in the corner of the end zone. Gabe's got the footwork to go with the hands, and it spelled double trouble for Plymouth. G-Man, this could be the best duo in the area that no one's talking about.
Yeah, Brian, a complete perfect passer. Puts it up to Gabe Smedley, and he does the rest, gets the foot in bounds. I'm not sure if he got 2 in, so it might have been an NFL catch, got both feet in for the score. The Cougars are not to be played with.
Yeah, they squashed the Big Red 43-8 in this game. Let's move on, nominee number 2, and first we're going to peep at, just look at how relaxed Peyton Lester is in the pocket, like he's chilling on a lazy boy, but pull out the sleeper sofa and put the Freddy's defense to bed, because Dylan, I want Moreland, hits the gas down after the whirly bird, and he's making a house call 63 yards to the zone. Big play.
Yeah, he does a really good job of staying patient, like you said, and he really trusts his wide receiver. Just put it up there around 2 defenders, and a nice break, as you see, able to shed off that tackle and then scrambles in for 6.
The Dogs clip the Birds 49-8. Now we take it in this stadium for our third nominee, and there weren't many points in this game, but Galleon's Gabe Ivey cracking open a 6-pack right here, chugging 44 yards to Pater. Tigers beat Ontario 7-6, and they needed that touchdown.
This could be the only touchdown for the Tigers all night long. We're used to seeing Hanif Donaldson, but this time they're giving it off to sophomore Gabe Ivey, and he got it done. Right here, you're going to see the wide receiver give him a little boost, and that's going to be just enough. He's going to get in the end zone for 6 with a 44-yard scoop and score.
Yeah, who would have thought that push in the back would have sent him on that trajectory? Taking to Fallis Field now at nominee 4, where double coverage not enough to stop Tiger star Avion Gross. He mosses the corner, he wiggles free, the afterburners are turned on, and he gets set up here for a key senior high touchdown.
A guy by the name of Gross making big plays for Mansfield Senior. Who
Say
would have heard that before? What a play for him. That really opened up Mansfield Senior's game against Worcester as they pulled off with the huge victory, the first in 4 tries against Worcester.
More from the Tigers at nominee 5, and then is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's super corner Elias Owens with the spidey sense. Are you kidding me? And the sticky fingers to grip a one-handed pick, creating a huge turnover for senior high, Trav.
I think I watched this highlight about 7 times, and
Wow.
each time I went, woo! I don't know how he was able to come up with that. I think 3 fingers on the ball as it went by, was able to stick it and make the catch.
Bonus action now with a 6th nominee, and it's like bonus yards when you chuck it this deep. Sam Williams-Dixon out of the backfield, racing like a thoroughbred, 97 yards in for the score to pour the waffle on the iron for West Holmes at Shelby, buddy.
Yeah, Shelby actually pinned him deep with a gorgeous punt. Believe pinned him inside the 5-yard line. West Holmes went for a run, didn't get very many yards, and they just put it up to Williams-Dixon, let him do his thing, and run 97 yards all the way to the big house.
51-14, Knights blitz the Whippets to remain perfect at 8-0. Make sure that you drop us a comment to vote for Week 8. You decide the winners each and every week right here on the Top Plays of the Week. All right, let's head from the gridiron over to the pitch now, where the high school tournament draw went down yesterday afternoon. So we know all the matchups and who the teams are going to be facing and what the tournament road looks like. And I think that probably the 2 most interesting ones involving our local teams here in North Central Ohio are in Division II for the guys and the girls. So let's discuss the gentlemen first in the Clyde District, where Lexington, they have won the last 3 district championships. But tell me, what is your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10 that the Minutemen are going to make it 4 in a row? We'll begin with you guys over here.
I'm super confident, actually. I mean, probably 8 or 9 out of 10. And they had a slow start. That's the crazy thing. They were drawing teams, losing to teams. Couldn't really get that many points on the board, but their offense really picked it up. And, you know, I wasn't really a believer until they beat Worcester. That was a game I got to see with my own eyes. And, I mean, they scored 2 goals, got it done, and the rest is history on that rainy night. But, I mean, I'm really a big believer in Lexington.
Yeah, and I am too. I think my confidence is going to be a 9 out of 10. And what travels in the postseason is defense, and that is exactly what Lexington does well. They've only allowed 6 goals, and they've scored 51. So I think Lexington gets it done defensively, and that's what separates them from the rest of the pack. And I think they're going to be the ones in this Clyde district that gets it done.
Well, their thermometer is really popping up off the charts like it's Indian summer, which we're kind of experiencing here in North Central Ohio. But is it going to be the case for you on your thermometer, Travis? Are you as confident as these 2 over here?
My confidence is an 8 out of 10. It'd be higher, but you and I know, Brian, that a perfect storm could happen. It could be a rainy night. We saw the opposite when Lexington beat Bay a couple years ago. So that's the only reason I only have them at an 8. But this team is good. They're ranked 6th in the state. They knocked off number 7 Shawnee already. Ontario, they tied at the beginning of the year. Ontario's 17th in the state. Their only loss is the state number 3 Bay 1-0. This team is ready to get back there, and I know they're chomping at the bit, not only to get a district championship once again, but to get that rematch with Bay, because you know they're starting to hit on all cylinders, winning 4 of their last 4 games. So Lexington, I think 8 out of 10.
Okay, so 4 out of their last 4 games, 8 out of a 10 for Travis. Hayden, are you also as high on the Minutemen as these 3?
Yeah, I'm going to fall somewhere between G-Man and Storm. I'm going to give them an 8.5 out of 10. Now, it's a bit of a blind give there because I haven't watched them play in person yet this year personally. But another team that I want to throw in the mix as kind of a sleeper could be the Ontario boys team. That is someone I've gotten a chance to watch a couple times in person this year. I think that they have an offense that can at least put up goals to maybe compete with Lexington. Lexington has a better rotation. They're a bit more sound. They have guys all over the place that makes them really balanced, but I think Ontario deserves some credit as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. And, let's not even sugarcoat this. This is a 2-pony race in this district. Lexington and Ontario easily are the top 2 teams. The Minutemen have the best collection of talent from top to bottom at all 3 levels. Like G-Man said, they've only given up 7 goals all year. They're really, really good defensively. And even in their midfield, they pressure you so much that it's tough to break it into their territory. But while they have the best collection of talent, they don't have the biggest gun in this battle. So that's why I'm slightly lowering them a little bit. I'm going to give them a 7.5 on my confidence meter because of Gage Weaver and the Ontario Warriors. Are you seeing what this kid's doing? He's got 27 goals already on the season, and he had to miss a couple of games due to kind of a weird red card midway through the season. So while I like Lexington, I'm giving them a 75% shot to win this district for a fourth consecutive year. I'm giving all of the other 25% to Ontario. They're going to be the teams that are going to meet to decide this district. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's been the case the last 4 years in a row. It's these two teams that always seem to meet each other. So can Lexington get it done? I think there's a small chance, 25% to be approximate, that Ontario is the team. Well, let's talk about the ladies now in the D2 Lexington district, where the Lady Rams, the 4-time defending champs, but with Taylor Huff now out of the picture and that crazy team that they had over the last 4 seasons, defending state champs. I'm sure you guys maybe have heard about that too. But could this be the year now for Ontario and the state-ranked Lady Warriors? Big League, we will let you kick off this conversation. How certain are you that Ontario is finally going to get past the fact that Taylor Huff is gone and get over the hump, win this district?
Well, it was at about a 9 a week ago, but I'm dropping down to a 7, and that's not because of their loss to Division I number 2 Medina over the weekend. It's because the Clear Fork Lady Colts and what they've been able to do. They've won their last 5 out of 6, and in that 6th match, they tied Granville, that team that almost knocked off Madison in a state championship last year, a team that is number 1 in Division II. They went 3-3, and actually they had a 3-2 lead late in that match before Granville tied it up in the 78th minute. But the Clear Fork Lady Colts, they have, I think, the best opportunity to upset Ontario, kind of like how Ontario was last year with Madison. Almost, they played them tough in that first half of that district championship game before Taylor Huff and Nevaeh Lewis really pulled away at the end. So I still think Ontario has the shot at winning it all, but I give it a 7 out of 10 now just because the way Clear Fork has been playing.
Pretty high praise, and I agree that the Lady Colts have been coming on super strong. They are also my number 2 team if you have to pick one out of this tournament bracket. But confident are you, Hayden, after what we've seen from Ontario? I believe that they've lost 2 of their last 3, and dating back their last 5 matches, there's something like 2-2-1.
Yeah, I am also not going to go as high as I did for the boys. I'm going to give the Lady Warriors a 6 out of 10. I've gotten to see them play a couple times in person this year. As Travis was saying, their losses against those D1 schools, that's not to knock at them in this Division II tournament that they're going to be playing in. I think that's great experience for them, but I give them a 6 out of 10, one, because of Clear Fork, like we talk about. I've got to see them play a lot, and Brittany Bechtel has a great squad going on over there this year. And I just don't know. I think tonight they have a big match against Shelby, who hasn't really had much experience. They're a new program, but they find themselves at a position where Ontario's in first in the MOAC and Shelby's in third in the MOAC tonight. So that's actually a match that's going to have some implications. I know Storm will be there. He will have a highlight for you, but I think that will tell me a little bit more. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I like that Ontario, they get to get tested. They get to play Shelby tonight, and then they get to play the Madison Lady Rams over at their place tomorrow night. So they can maybe increase our confidence moving into the weekend and into the tournament. But where do you guys fall in this conversation?
I followed an 8 out of 10. I'm pretty confident in Ontario. The only red flag or the only critique that I have is they win games that they're supposed to, but when the going gets tough, I think it's a little bit of trouble for them. They're a very good team top to bottom, and I think they'll end up getting it done, but I think it's going to be a pretty scrappy battle for in the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10, and I agree with Travis. A few weeks ago, this might have been a 9 out of 10, but with the loss to Medina, I know that's a pretty big powerhouse school, but when the going gets tough, man, and you play these bigger schools, you got to compete, and they really got boat raced. It was like 3-0 within the first few minutes, and it really wasn't close. And going in deep into the tournament, if they want to make that state title run, they got to beat some big teams, at least compete, and that wasn't a game. So I think Ontario, they're going to win this district, but if they want to go on and go further, we got to compete with some of these tougher teams.
So I think we're all in agreement. They're at least a solid favorite here. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
More than 50%. But for me, they're just a shade above 50%. I'm gonna go 5.5 out of the 10 because while they're solid, to me they're only like about as solid as like a fresh cookie out of the oven. You know what I mean? It's staying together. They've got all the nucleus together. The chips haven't quite melted off yet. But at the same time, their ego's a little bit bruised. Anytime you lose a couple of matches when you're a team that has state championship aspirations, I don't care who you're playing. It hurts, and especially when you get boat raced on the road like they did on Saturday night. So from the forward position to the midfield to the goalkeeper and that defensive line that they have, which is solid, I think that they're the best, but at the same time, I really like the number 2. And I give about a 35% chance out of my confidence meter to the Clear Fork Lady Colts, who in their last 7 matches are unbeaten. They got a draw with Granville on the road, like Travis alluded to. That's a big statement for them, and they have a rotation that nobody in the area can match. They swap in 5-6 girls. They're fresh the entire night. So I think Clear Fork is playing the best soccer of any team right now heading into tournament. But like we all see from the Lady Warriors, they have a tradition of excellence when it comes to the district tournament. If they're not in the championship match, it's a big upset. They get to the district final basically every single year, and now that T. Huff and company are out of the way, they should be the favorites. The Ontario Warriors, we all expect to move on and be participating at regionals. Let's get on to the next level now. And speaking of Taylor Huff, she did some pretty exciting things. Just yesterday afternoon for her Tennessee Lady Vols, the true freshman had the game-winning goal on the road at South Carolina for Tennessee to win the match 1-0. And then Brennan Armstrong, too, looking pretty good. The pride of Shelby, Ohio, had 3 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter to overcome a big deficit at Louisville. So 2 big-time performances for some of our local players, but which was the best of the best? Hayden, we'll start with you because I'm sure you're a little bit biased being a former Whippet and being a classmate of Brennan Armstrong. Where do you fall on this debate?
Yeah, I'm a bit biased, so my pick is going to be Brennan Armstrong. First off, I want to give huge props and congratulations to what Taylor Huff is doing, though, as well. It's extremely impressive as a freshman to go down and do what she's doing. So my decision is not to take any bit of credit away to her. But yeah, what Brennan's doing himself is astronomical. Like you said, he won the game for them. And I haven't had a chance to check yet this week, but I believe going into this week, he was second in all of college football in passing yards. And getting to play alongside Brennan for 3 years, I think we all knew he was going to be extremely special and get to go to that next level. But I'd be lying if I thought that it was going to be to the point where, he's one of the top quarterbacks in college football.
Yeah.
And I don't even think with the bias that I may have that's a lie to say that. So I'm going to give the nod to Brennan, and I'm excited to see what they can continue to do this year. But both of them, both Huff and Armstrong, really representing our area well. So I'm excited to see what both of them keep doing.
You see the stats there. He put it up through the air 60 times. He almost threw for 500 yards. How could you not be entertained, Travis Berardi?
Oh, you know what? Just the way Brennan Armstrong throws the ball, the way he came back, it was storybook. It was something that you don't expect to see from many quarterbacks at all, but Brennan Armstrong seems to just take control of this game on and off. But, multiple third down conversions in that fourth quarter. He had 2 fourth down conversions on that last drive. But I'm actually going to change my answer. I was thinking Brennan Armstrong.
Curveball.
But now I'm going Taylor Huff. You know what? And you want to know why? 13 games played, 12 starts, 7 goals, 3 assists, and she carried the team on her shoulders against 2 ranked squads. She had a goal late against Auburn to force overtime that they ended up winning, and then that late goal against another ranked South Carolina squad. I just think that, Brennan Armstrong has those players around him to where even if he makes 1 bad play or 2 bad plays, they can make up for it. But Taylor Huff has been carrying this Tennessee Volunteer squad on her shoulders. There is only 47 women's soccer players in Division I soccer that has more goals than her right now, and she's a freshman.
Taylor had 6 of the Lady Vols, 8 shots on net, too, and she was the most impressive player in the match. My wife and I watched it from start to finish, so shout out to Amy Huff for bumping into me at the BIDFA, where she goes every Sunday just like I do to pick up our stuff, and she let me know that Taylor was going to be playing a ranked match yesterday at 2 o'clock, and she was absolutely stunning. She was the best player in that game as a true freshman. I got goosebumps watching her on multiple occasions yesterday. But the answer is Brennan Armstrong, man. Anytime you can have a comeback like what he had with the numbers that he did, and they didn't even try to run the football. They were just like, Brennan, go out there, get us a dub on the road. You can do it. And even though they were down big entering the fourth quarter, he was able to get it done. So that's why I think that Brennan is the pick for this week. But it's hard not to be impressed by Huff. What about you guys? Armstrong or T. Huff?
Taylor Huff was definitely very impressive, and what she's doing on the season as a whole is very impressive. But I'm gonna have to go with Brennan Armstrong. I mean, when you lead a comeback like that, and especially on that last drive, I mean, it's hard not to pick him. The dude's having a phenomenal season, and just all around what he's done in his season so far. I mean, it's just crazy, and I think that comeback is just the cherry on top of things.
Yeah, it's hard to pick here. I don't know which one I wanted to pick, but I had to go with Brennan Armstrong. A big win against Louisville on the road, down 16 points. Put the team on his shoulders. And when you don't run the ball, they couldn't run the ball. So it's saying, Brennan, go win us the game because we can't run the ball at all, and there's not enough time to establish a run. So go win us the game, and that's exactly what he did. And I'm pretty sure he's ranked number 1 by PFF in college football as the number 1 quarterback. So Brennan Armstrong to be ranked as number 1 is pretty remarkable. On the season, 2,460 yards, 17 touchdowns, a 153 quarterback rating. That is pretty insane, and he really is carrying the team on his back, and especially on the road, down 16 points, getting it done for his Cavaliers.
It is so fun to watch college football right now because North Central Ohio and the greater Mansfield area in particular, has so many kids that are playing. But Brennan has been the big shining star that we've had so far this season. He was awesome. And you have a great Brennan Armstrong story, right? From the scrimmage? Didn't you take him down, G-Man?
Yeah. Junior in high school, first year varsity football. Shelby and Eric Willis' team came to Scott Bailey Memorial Field for a preseason scrimmage. And they threw me in varsity, and I was like, "Oh Lord, man, I don't think I'm cut out for this." And they ran a speed option, and it was Shorty Brooks and Brennan Armstrong running it out. And I thought he was going to pitch it, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to tackle Brennan. And I went right after him, man. And I got the tackle, got up, and I was so pumped, like I was going to be the number 1 draft pick. And then later on the next play, I think he threw like a 55-yard touchdown. So didn't work out for us, but man, he's a heck of a player.
But you'll always have that story.
Speaking of that, do you think Brennan Armstrong's a top draft pick this year? Maybe first, second, third round?
We were talking about this over the weekend, Travis and I were. If he keeps playing like this for the duration of the season, he has all of the physical and the mental gifts that you would want to be an NFL quarterback. I don't think there's any reason that if he chooses to pursue that for his career, that he would be a first 3-round pick.
Yeah, I think his draft stock just keeps rising with the games that he's had. He's had some nationally televised games as well. The North Carolina game that they lost, he kept going up and down the field. Last year against Clemson, that squad that played in a Final Four, won their conference, he gave the closest battle against Clemson that Clemson put up all year until they lost Ohio State in that Final Four. So I think Brennan is just building his resume, and he could go. If he wants to stay for his senior season, I think he would just boost his draft stock that much more. But I think he could be a top 3 pick.
Yeah, and before we even get to thinking about the next level, I think you could make an arguable case that let's just focus on college football and say Brennan Armstrong for Heisman. I mean, he's got my pick for best quarterback in the ACC at least, for sure. I think even over DJ over at Clemson. I think that he's got the ACC locked down.
Okay. I mean, I guess start with the Heisman Trophy, or at least get an invite. That'd still be pretty cool. If he keeps throwing it 60 times for 500 yards a week, he might be in the mix.
You can't teach arm talent, and that's exactly what Brennan Armstrong has. So if he goes to draft, I don't know which round he's going to take it in, but I think a team's going to pick on him exactly just because of his arm talent. Just so he can sling the rock around, and he's shown that in college. I mean, they're just letting him rip, and that's exactly what a QB coach is going to want. You can teach some of the other intangibles, but arm talent is something that it's just a God-given gift.
And he's a lefty at that, so, I mean, even more impressive.
And I think his best, most dynamic ability is actually with his feet.
Yeah.
He blows me away sometimes with just the little crevices that he can find to shimmy his way around in the pocket. So that this guy, could you ever have imagined you were playing with an NFL quarterback when you was in high school?
I mean, I know we've been talking for a while, but I mean, I just want to give credit to him too, being a great level ahead of him. I saw him start as a freshman and then take that fast forward all the way to senior year, my last year getting to play with him. I mean, maturity-wise, the dude's football IQ is like no other person I've been around. And I don't know. I think he has all the tools and assets to do that if he wants to do it. And I think another year would be something like Travis said that could just get you more experience, help boost your stock. But, I mean, I don't think it's a long shot at all anymore to say that that's something within his reach if he wants it, because he's one of the hardest workers I've ever met, and all the more power to him. I think he can do it if he wants to.
And I think what's most exciting for the other person that was up for our nominee here at the next level, Taylor Huff is just a true freshman. She definitely, if you want to make that futures bet, probably going to be wearing the red, white, and blue one day. I think she's that good at her age.
Well, if you guys did not tune in for Fury versus Wilder Part 3 on Saturday, you missed
What a lot of people are calling maybe the best heavyweight championship match ever, at least since the Muhammad Ali era, the golden age, when all the big boys were out there beating each other up. I watched it. I was super impressed. 5 knockdowns in this fight. There were so many ups and downs and ebbs and flows and just crazy excitement throughout. So it lived up to the hype. And I think we've all at least watched some highlights of this. Travis actually watched the fight with me. So let me know, guys. I believe that we all are pretty decent boxing connoisseurs. I love boxing. I've been following it for my entire life. Do you think this was the best heavyweight championship bout since the Ali era, Travis?
This reminded me of Rocky. I mean, Wilder gets knocked down in the first few rounds, gets right back up. A couple rounds later, knocks Fury down twice, and you're thinking, I don't know who's going to win this. It looked even. And then Fury just got back to beating up on Wilder, beating up. We were thinking 7th, 8th, 9th round, oh, he's just going to go down. He's going to get TKO, but somehow he stayed up, and finally in that 11th round got finally knocked out. But that was the most brutal prize fight that I have ever seen. It was something that I don't think you'll ever see again.
Well, I would definitely sign up for round 4, but I think Fury said, you know what, I beat this guy 2 out of 3 times. We good now. We moving forward.
G-Man, you said that you watched at least some of the highlights. Do you feel like this was on caliber?
Man, and look at how brutal that last knockout was, with some of the best prize fights that we've seen at the
Heavyweight division over the last 20, 30 years?
Yeah, obviously I never got to watch the entirety of those during the time I was not born yet. But I did get to watch this one, and this one was a pretty impeccable fight. Now, I'm used to the Jake Paul versus Nate Robinson fight. So compared to that, I mean, this was absolutely, a show to be made. And it was fun to watch, man. And it was an even match, too. Both the fighters were knocking each other down and getting back up. And it was just a dogfight, and it was fun to watch. The highlights were impeccable. And just the knockouts, man. That's exactly what you want in boxing. You don't want the hugging and all the stuff it's not even worth a watch or worth a buy. But this one was definitely worth it.
Anytime big men are swinging that hard at you and you get knocked down and you have the courage and the energy to get back up, it is something special. So, this thing was phenomenal. What would you think, Storm?
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole fight, but I saw the highlights of it, and it seemed like a special night, and I definitely do regret not buying it because it seemed like this was probably a once-in-a-lifetime fight that I just happened to miss out on. But just seeing the highlights, seeing the fanfare, everything that went into it, it just seemed like it was an incredible bout.
Are you going to keep going with the yeses here, Hayden? Was this the best thing that we've seen in like the last 30 years in a big-time boxing match for heavyweights?
Yeah, similar to the boys, I did not watch the fight live. I was busy watching Kent State football beat Buffalo. So probably not the same scale, not comparable. But I think that G made a good point. When you want a good boxing match, you don't want the hugging. You don't want a 10-second knockout after you just bought the pay-per-view and got together with your friends. So from watching the highlights and taking a look at these, I think that it's definitely got to be because the heavyweight division, a couple guys, slugfest just going at it. It had ups and downs, and I think it had all the mixings of what you want, and that kind of justifies, buying that fight. I think that's what you were looking for, and I think there was a lot of chatter about this, which, yes, we weren't, a few of us weren't alive during most of the Ali fight era, but I think that this can be compared to that because of the level it's been talked about and the fact that, yes, they've gone at it 3 times now, so it's kind of got that, I don't know, it's got that ambiance to it.
And I know we got the recency bias, and we all just saw this a couple of days ago, so we're super excited about it. But let me break this down for you guys. Let me tell you how big time this was. My wife actually stayed up past midnight to watch it. It was that exciting, and nothing does that except for New Year's Day, okay? And then I haven't actually checked the neighborhood Facebook page post, but I think that there was a couple on there saying that they heard big screams and commotions late night. That was just me and my friends having a great time watching this fight. So yes, I've watched a lot of heavyweight boxing matches, and none of them have really lived up to the billing, I would say, other than Klitschko, Joshua. That was many years ago now. That was a really awesome fight overseas. But other than that, Fury Wilder 1 was great. This is the best that I have seen in a long long time, but it don't compare to those Ali fights. If you watch some of the tape of those back in the day, you want to talk about real wars when they used to go 15 rounds. Oh my gosh, those are great. Definitely YouTube those young kids out there if you don't know. All right, it's a busy week. Surprise, surprise, here for us on the OH Report. So I think we have graphics for every game we're doing? Is that right? Let's run them. Let's show you what we got coming your way. Let's begin tonight. How about the Shelby Whippets and Ontario Lady Warriors? We'll see if Ontario can bounce back. Storm, you're going to be over there. Give us just a quick insight, couple of sentences. What are we about to see on this highlight?
I think it's going to be exciting, and I think the Ontario Warriors are going to have some real fight in them tonight. I think it's going to be a really fun match.
All right, let's move on. We got lots of these. How about some boys high school soccer tomorrow? This one's live. It's actually going to be at 6 o'clock. They have changed the start time, so do note that. Travis Berardi, you're going to be on the call with Jesse Ryder over at the Colt Corral.
Yeah, the Colts got a couple wins under their belt in the last few. They are the number 5 seed in their district, just trying to, get everything up the tune, get playoff ready against a Highland Fighting squad that, their first year in the MOAC. So we'll see how this rivalry begins.
On to the next one. How about some high school volleyball? This one also going down on Tuesday, and Hayden is going to be making his play-by-play debut over at the Castle, buddy. You geeked?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Every time I went and watched Northmore play volleyball, with the exception of the Lexington match, they played really, really well. Even though they lost that one, it was still great. So I'm excited to be over at the Castle. Mackenzie Weaver will be with me, so hopefully I should do all right. And I'm excited to see that one, so make sure to tune in.
Hey, we all got faith in you. That'll be a good one. We got a highlight coming. 2 Richland County teams. I think this is actually a great matchup. Mansfield Christian taking on the Madison Rams. Who's doing this one?
I believe it's Storm.
Storm?
Is it me?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is Storm.
It is Storm.
Oh, my bad. It's me.
Storm
Sorry,
Blunsley.
I was expecting a different game.
Any fun insights?
No, but I haven't really watched either of these teams play. But I always love covering Madison, especially with what they did last year. I just think it's a lot of fun. So, and I hear that Mansfield Christian's pretty good. I don't think I've seen them with my own eyes yet, but
Yes, you have.
have
with
I?
me. I remember.
I have one time. Sorry, excuse me. I cover a lot of sports, but Mansfield Christian girl's really good, so I'm excited.
Okay. How about TY Tigers taking on Buckeye Valley? This is going to be senior night for Mansfield. We're going to be over there, and if we can get an internet signal, unfortunately they don't have it hooked up in their press box, but we're going to tether all of our phones together. We're going to try to bring it to you live and free. I do look forward to seeing the boys Tigers. They got a couple of fun players on the team. Jalil Gregory, I think, really stands out. He's a playmaker for them, really dynamic. Buckeye Valley's coming in with a good record. They're 7-7 on the season, so we'll see if Senior High has what it takes to get it done on senior night in front of the home fans. So that's Thursday, and then this also is going to be on Thursday, and we're going to have some live and free volleyball over at the Colt Corral. And Travis, you're going to be on the call for this one.
Yeah, a little non-conference showdown with the OCC's West Holmes Knights taking on Becca Conrad and the Clear Fork Colts. And once again, the brackets are out for both these squads. It's the tune-up. Why not have, a D2 versus a D3 coming up here, or a D1 versus D2? I forget which one it is, but these two teams, getting ready for the tournament. Want to see how Becca Conrad finishes out her senior career at Clear Fork, so it'll be a good one. Have Mackenzie on the call as well.
And now let's flip the script over to Friday, where it's going to be the busiest Friday night of all time for the OH Report. I can't even explain how many games we have. Oh, yes, I can. We're going to do it right now. How about Buckeye Central at Mohawk? We are going to have our dude Dalen Goff over there for a highlight. That should be fun to see if the Warriors can keep up the good mojo that they've had the last few weeks. We will also have over at the Castle. I'm going to be on the call for this one. I'm so excited to be sitting on Travis's throne and seeing the undefeated Golden Knights against Centerburg, the defending KMAC champions. I get to be KMAC ski for a night. That's going to be a really fun matchup. And Lynn Passett's going to be on the call with me. He's a pro's pro. So make sure that you watch that one live, or you could watch this game live on the OH Report. How about the Lucas Cubs and Fort Laramie Redskins going toe-to-toe? Eric Will is going to be on the call, along with Aaron Hines, playing up in the treehouse with Jory, Max, and the guys. So you can watch that one live on the OH Report on our Facebook and YouTube channel 3, probably? Channel 2. Channel 2, it says right there in front of my eyes. All right, what else do we have in store for you guys? How about some more live and free high school football? The Colts of Clear Fork, are they real MOAC contenders? G-Man seems to think so. They good enough to take down the Presidents?
Well, if they want any of the MOAC pie, they're going to have to. And Harding's a very solid squad. They got a lot of athletes on the team. Me and Storm have reiterated that for the past few weeks. But Clear Fork, you can't look past Harding because they're going to give you a run for their money. They got Shelby in week 10. Clear Fork looking for the MOAC crown.
All right, moving on now to Howard, Ohio, one of the happiest places on earth. We've got the Bulldogs taking on the Fighting Scots. Both of these teams are 6-2 on the year. We're going to have Josh Pollock, Effie James on the call for this one down there. This is a huge, huge game for the KMAC standings. Travis, go ahead and weigh in.
Yeah, so East Knox, one loss behind Highland and Northmore. So you could say this: if Centerburg somehow knocks off Northmore, or if Highland were to knock off Northmore in Week 10, an East Knox win this week could give them a KMAC championship with Highland and Northmore. So it's like a play-in week, the last two. You have the top 4 teams, Centerburg going on against Northmore, Highland against East Knox, and then you got Highland Northmore in Week 10.
Great breakdown from KMAC Trav there. Keep it rolling. More football, it just never stops.
How about the Galleon Tigers taking on Lima Central Catholic? You've been watching the Tigers all year long, G-Man.
Thunderbird's pretty good. This is going to be a tough test for them.
Yeah, definitely. I believe this is homecoming, too, so good luck to them Tigers, man. Lima Central Catholic's no team to mess with. I believe they were 8-1, if I'm not mistaken, but, you know, at High C Park.
8-1 through 8 weeks, that is good.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, they're a solid squad.
Okay. What else we got? What's on the menu here? How about the Loudonville Redbirds against Orville and the Red Riders? Pretty cool logos there. Travis, you're going to be calling this one. Birds coming off of a win. Maybe they can make it 2 in a row.
Yeah, both these squads down years. Although Orville, the last few years, Orville won a state championship, made a state Final Four appearance. Loudonville just trying to bounce back this year. 2 teams trying to just build some momentum. You never know with the 16-team playoff. If they can finish off with a few wins, maybe they squeak in. So we'll see.
Well, we did see last year when Loudonville did squeak into the playoffs because, well, everybody got in. They were able to knock off a few quality teams and get pretty deep into the tournament. And finally, of course, you know we got them Shelby Whippets. Let's go, Storm. Tell the folks about them.
Shelby looking for a big bounce-back win after they got dismantled last week. I think they're going to be pretty angry. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, the mentality they have coming back after a loss that drastic. And River Valley might have something to say about it. River Valley also another solid squad, so I think it's going to be a really, really good night of football.
So when you're standing field side and you ask Coach Mahaney what's the mindset, what do you think he's going to say to you?
I think he's going to say, hey, we know how it feels now. Let's go and do it to them.
I like it. I like it. And we know how it feels now to have a big Friday, but there's more. Are we going to Saturday? Yes, we are. No, we're still on Friday. We have so much football. How about the West Holmes Knights? They're undefeated, folks. They're going to try to go over to Community Stadium and stay that way, become a perfect 9-0 if they can knock off the Arrows. If we do have this game, this is the only one that's kind of like iffy right now just because we only have so many people that work here at OH Report. We're going to try to team up with WNCO and have some radio guys on the call, but that's going to definitely be a fun OCC contest. All right, now let's go to Saturday, and this is the big one. This is the big one that everyone's been talking about. The Cougars have not beat St. Paul in a decade, but I know that the Cougar faithful over here, G-Man and Storm, they feel like they got the secret sauce to sprinkle on top this year and get it done, right?
Definitely. I mean, this is the game. This is the game that I think that's going to be the biggest one of the weekend and possibly of the year. I think that this one has all the fixings. It's going to be the perfect storm, and, you know, really, really pulling for Crestview to come out and win for the first time in a long time, but I guess we'll see on Saturday.
Yeah, Crestview hasn't beat St. Paul since 2011. So, and I think the big thing is, I think Crestview definitely is better across the board athletically. But I think it's a mental game coming in here. Cressy's got to know that they can win this game and that they can move on and win the final in this conference crown. But if they don't go in there and thinking that they're going to lose, St. Paul man is going to run all over them. So I guess we'll see Saturday night who is going to be your final in this conference champion.
Brian, do you want to give them bulletin board material right now?
It seems like a different Crestview team this year than years past, right? This is not the same Cougars squad and mentality that we have seen in previous seasons where when they get to the big game, which is St. Paul, that they've had circled for the entire season, even though you don't want to look by anybody. But at the same time, man, that mentality, like you were just saying, G-Man, what if they come out and St. Paul scores first? I don't think Crestview's had to play from behind at all this season. What happens to them then? I really do feel like Steve Haverdale and company are going to put on a good performance. It's going to be a good game, but don't count out St. Paul by any stretch. Bulletin board material, I don't know that I really want to pick St. Paul. I haven't got to see them. I've watched Crestview 4 times personally this year. They're good. They're the best small school that I've watched personally this season, so I wouldn't make a pick against them. I'm just not as high as you guys all are on, hey, Cougars are going to roll, because we've said that before in the past, and so far, hasn't worked out for them. All right, that's the nightcap, though, on Saturday. In the morning, how about some more Cougars? They're going to be trying to get a couple of dubs, and these are 2 teams that we've been keeping a close eye on. We've been covering throughout the season. So Crestview going on the road at the Castle. How about a little volleyball to kick off the Saturday afternoon, Trav?
Yeah, myself, Mackenzie Weaver, will be down there at the Castle, but these 2 teams, their final test before they get in the tournament. Northmore will have at least 2 home matches in their sectional tournament. They host the sectional semifinal, and then if they win, they would host a sectional final before going to Worthington Christian for the districts. But Crestview as well, got to get some momentum. You know, they lost 2 of their best players, 2 All-Ohioans last year. But hey, you get a couple wins, you get that experience throughout the year. You never know what they can do. So this is a good, just a good tune-up to go into tournament time.
You can all watch it live and free on the OH Report. That match beginning at 11:15 a.m. I don't know about you guys, but I'm worn out just looking at the week ahead already. We haven't even started, but we got games coming up even here tonight. So better go ahead and get out of here. Start making some video content. That way you guys can all enjoy on your smartphones, tablets, PCs, and TVs. Enjoy till next time, guys.